Yeah, so in this part, what we are going to do is we are going to add an authentication layer to our Lambda function and API gateway integration. We have already created our Lambda function and API gateways, and then in this part, what we are going to do is to add authentication to it using AWS Cognito. If you are new, you can either stick around and then walk through this. All the code and everything readily available. You can understand it and then follow along. Or if you want to get a deeper understanding, you can start from the part one of the series and then we should be good to go. Thank you so much for watching, and then let's continue. We are going to learn how to integrate AWS Cognito, right? We are going to learn how to use AWS Cognito to kind of add an authentication layer to our API gateway to Lambda integration. So AWS Cognito is a fully managed service that allows you to manage your user authentication. You see, so think of it as a complete login system. You don't have to build yourself. Cognito in itself handle your user accounts, password hashing, email verifications, and JWT token generations and all that. So AWS Cognito allows you to do all those fancy authentication stuff without necessarily putting so much work. Now, with our Lambda and then API gateway integration, if you are new here, this is part of a series that we are working on where we are integrating the Lambda functions with API gateway and then we are trying to add authentication to it. If you are new here and then you just want to see how to do the AWS Cognito stuff, you can still stay behind. And then if you want to start afresh too from the video, you can look at the part one and then you be good to follow suit. Or you can just stick around and then we can take it out from here. So now I'll go pretty much search for Amazon Cognito. And then once you search for Cognito, you come to this page. The first thing I'm going to do is to create a user pool. So a user pool is pretty much a directory, right? That kind of contains your user data, right? From your username to the email, their password, and how to manage it, their sign up flow, and then all that. So there are two ways. One, we can simply use the traditional or just React based off what you are building. For this demo, I'm just going to select a single page web application, and then I'll give my application a name. So I'm going to call my this, and then for the options for sign in, I'm just going to select email. I'll enable self-registration, that is allow people to sign up to my system. And then for sign up, one of the required attributes that I'm going to look at is going to be the email. So I'll create the user directory. And now once this is ready, just scroll down and then I'll come to go to overview. Yeah, so on this page, please first note your user pool ID. We'll come back to it. What I'll do next is to go to my app client, and then in the app client, I'm going to enable a couple of things. I'll click on edits and then I will enable sign in with username and password, so that my users can sign in with their username and passwords. And then I will ensure I have this allow refresh token auth being enabled. User can sign in optionally using password and response to custom challenge. So just these two should be fine for now. I'll click on save changes. So now my app client is ready. Just for a quick test, what I can do is to just test to see if someone can log in into my account. So I'm quickly going to add a user. So I'll just create a user using my email. Just use a user using my email, mark as verified. And then I'll have this password. Create my user. So now using this user email, what I can do is when I come back to my app client, I'm just going to try and test and show you guys how authentication works with this. Yes, I can come to login pages. By default, I can just test it out to see if everything is fine. So click on view login page, and then in here I can put my email and then enter my password. And then I'm required to set a new password. So you see, I've been able to log in and sign in successfully. So this is the Cognito bit of it. That's how you can easily add users, have your login flow, and then if you want to integrate it to your application, you can pretty much follow the same steps, or you can do this. So this is the first part of our API and then Lambda integration. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is now go to my Lambda function. So I'll just simply search for Lambda. For those of us who watched the first part of the series, we created a very simple Lambda function where we had a serverless API handler, which was kind of showing the Lambda and an API gateway integration. Yes, if you are new here, you can either check the first one out, or if you want to stay and then catch up, you can do that later. So in this code, we're pretty much just having a simple Lambda that takes in an API request, and then we just, if it's a get, we just give them a response. If it's a post, we just display the message that they entered. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to quickly update this Lambda function. So if you are new and then you are doing this, and then after setting up your Lambda function, what you are doing is you are setting up a Lambda function, integrating it with API gateway, and then you can just do it. So you can create a new Lambda function. You go to API gateway, you do the integration, then you are fine. So now in the updated Lambda function, it's pretty much the same as the first one. The new stuff you see is I'm added a bit of some extraction stuff here. So what I'm doing is, because we are authenticating, now we don't want people to just hit our APIs directly. We want them to be authenticated first before they do whatever they want to do. Once they do that and they authenticate, we are getting our regular method stuff, and then now we are getting our request context, which will be part of the event that comes in, and then we are getting our email, our authorizers, and then the sub. User sub in Cognito is this. It's pretty much the unique identifier that identifies a user in Cognito, right? Most of the time, certain systems uses email. The issue with email is people email can change with time, an organization, but your sub doesn't change. So in subsequent, or in the next video, or that's the last video of the series, we will talk about how you are going to make use of the sub as an identifier in the DynamoDB table implementation. But for now, this is the updated Lambda function. So what I'm going to do is to deploy the Lambda. The same thing, nothing fancy in our Lambda. All we're doing is just getting the details and checking the method. If it's a get operation or it's a post operation, and then we just display what we are displaying. And then this is it. Now let's quickly go to API gateway. So in API gateway, as part of our first class, we created our sample API, which was a REST API, a very simple one that had a hello resource where we did our Lambda integration. So if you can see, there is these integrations here with our Lambda integrations for both our post and this. Now what I'm going to do is to add an authorizer to this. So before you're able to do this, you have to be authenticated first. Before you're able to do your gets or your post, you should be authenticated first. So now if I come in here, say if I come to my stages and then I get my API gateway, oh, I've deployed the Lambda function, sorry, so I should still get missing authentication. That's fine. Yeah, we'd have seen the initial get results. If you look at the part one, you see that results in there. Now in my authorizer, what I'm going to do is to create an authorizer. Let me just delete this one. This is an old one. So I'm going to create an authorizer, and then call my authorizer Cognito Authorizer, and then the integration type is going to be, sorry, the authorizer type is going to be Cognito. Then I'll select my Cognito User Pool. Then with token source, the token source is going to be a header called authorization. So enter authorization here. Then I'll create my authorizer. So this is how simply you create your authorizer. And then after creating your authorizer, what you can do is to come to my resources and then associate these authorizers with my various methods. So I'll come to my get, and then I will come to method request, edit, and then I can add my Cognito Authorizer to this. And then leave everything else as it is and click on save. I'll do same for my post request. Oh, so edit now. So for you to be able to make a request using this stuff, you have to have the various authentication tokens and all. So this is the first part of, or this is the second part of what you are going to do. We've created our authorizer and then associated it with our existing method. As I always say, anytime you make a change to your API gateway, don't forget to deploy it. So I'll select my dev stage and then deploy it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to create another Lambda function. So I'll come to Lambda and then create a new Lambda function. This is going to be a separate Lambda function that will handle all the Cognito operations. So if someone wants to sign up, if someone wants to confirm their email, the person wants to log in and all that, I just want to handle some of those flow from my end. So what I'm going to do is to create a Lambda function, and then I'll call it Cognito Auth Handler. The runtime is going to be Python 3.14. Then I'll proceed to create my function. Yeah, so this is my dummy Lambda that gets generated. So I have this Lambda code which I'll make available to you guys. So now the key part of this code, one of the things is we need to change the user pool ID and the client's ID. Just a quick walkthrough in our code, similar to the first one. We are getting the events, we are getting our method, the path, and then in here we are checking if it's sign up, if the person is confirming, if the person is logging in, and then based off that we are calling the individual methods, right? So if it's a login, we are calling this method. If it's confirmation, we are doing this. If the person is just logging into, we are calling this. So that's pretty much all that the Lambda is doing. Nothing fancy. Now, to use my Lambda, I have to get my user pool ID. So what I'll do is, first, let me come to my Cognito. So in Cognito, when you come to your user pool page overview, you should get your user pool ID. I'll copy it and then come to my Lambda and then replace this. So one thing you can do is for production environments and all, you can make use of environment variables. If you are new to Lambda functions too, you can check out a simple overview video I did on Lambda functions and then you can make use of it. So I'll copy my client ID from the application clients page and then I'll come in here, then replace this. Then I'll deploy my Lambda function. Always don't forget to deploy your Lambda code. Now, so our Lambda function is ready. What I'm going to do next is to go back to API gateway and then add some resource and methods to handle our authentication flow. So the first thing I'm going to do is, on my root, I'm going to create a new resource and then name the resource auth. And then under auth, I'm going to add a sub resource. The first sub resource is going to be, oh sorry, not a method, a sub resource for sign up. So that is, if someone comes to /auth/sign up, the person should do this. I want to enable course for this. So I'll create this. And then for my sign up, I'm going to add a method. The method is going to be a post method. Since when someone is signing up, the person is going to put in their email. And then the Lambda function is going to be the integration type. And then I'll enable Lambda Proxy integration. So as I explained earlier, Lambda Proxy integration pretty much talks about the way you pass your HTTP request, right? The events, how it goes into Lambda function. So I'll just select my Cognito Auth Lambda, then I'll create my method. Now, under the auth, I'm going to add a new resource to another resource for confirm. Then I'll do what to enable calls for these two. Just like we did for the sign up, I'm going to proceed to add a post method for the confirmation too, since you'll be sending in an event. Enable my Lambda proxy integration, then select the same handler. As you can see in the same Lambda code, what we are doing is we are handling based of the path or what comes in. So /my auth/ another post, and then the last one is going to be our login. So again, on the auth, I'll create a resource for login, then I'll create this. I'll add a method, it will be a post method, enable proxy integration, the same Lambda Cognito Auth Lambda handler, taking or making use of that. Okay, I didn't add course to this, so I'm just going to simply enable course. So course pretty much as a way that allows your browser to run scripts and then they change stuff with your APIs and backend. Just to avoid those errors, let me do this. So now I've created my API, my resource method and all. So if you are new and then you are watching this video, if you want to see how we do this, you did this. It's the same way. You just create your resources and then you are good to go. I'm going to deploy my API to my dev stage. And then now we are going to proceed to build a simple UI to test our integration. So I have a simple UI code on my local that I'm going to share with you guys. So yeah, so this is the code. So this is just a simple HTML code that displays a static UI that I worked on or built. So this is it. It's just showing you how the flow it's going to be, the authentication URL. So based on your implementation, you can add it or generate a fancy web application. However you want it, you can just generate it with an AI. Then you are good to go. So for now, I'm just going to try and call the get endpoints without authentication, and then we'll see what will happen. So I'll come to my API gateway and then copy my base URL, right? The invoke URL. If you want to get it, come to stages and then select your stage. Then I will add it to my web application. So before the authentication, let me just add this and do my /hello, then send it. So log in first to get the token. So before I'm able to do this, they require me to get the token. So let me come in here, paste my base URL, and then try logging in with the credentials I used earlier, right? To see what happens. So if I remember my password, Hopefully I have it correct. Good. So now I'm logged in. Now my application shows that I've been logged in. So if I call my get request, I'll get a response from our Lambda function. So authenticated user, this is my email, and then this is it. So now if I want to make a post request, I can simply come in and then have some, say, name, then call myself. Yeah, Cognito, then send a request. So this is it. So you see, so now I've been able to log in and then I get my token, the ID and everything. So this is how you can simply authenticate your your API gateway to your Lambda function by using Cognito. Very simple. You set this up, you set up your authorizers, and then you make good use of this. Those of us that are part of the series, in the next we are going to do a bit of integration using DynamoDB table too, and then we wrap it up. Kindly don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and then be part of the family. And then let's meet in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.